This is an introduction demo to CPQ Aero estimation software, an automated estimation tool focused on aerospace aerostructure details and assemblies. Let's face it, companies who can respond to the most RFQs, request for quotations, by completing fast, accurate, and high-quality estimates will win the most contracts and become more profitable. Traditionally, it takes anywhere between 2 to 3 hours to produce an RFQ response for a single part number. This time could be exponentially increased for more complex details and assemblies. Luckily, your team can now leverage the power of CPQ Aero. CPQ Aero estimation software, an RFQ-to-go product powered by MoovinV raw material data, will help you reduce your cost estimation efforts. This on-premise, data-secure, and simple user interface software platform allows your cost estimation team to upload 3D CAD models and bill of materials for your model-based definition details and assemblies, and with a click of a button, produce your cost estimation analysis automatically without any user input, allowing your team to respond to more RFQs and larger RFQ packages in less time. Our innovative software can perform batch estimation for hundreds and even thousands of Catia original equipment manufacturers' OEM engineering files. Today, we help major OEMs, Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 suppliers reduce their cost estimation time, generate accurate should-costing models, and simply generate more quotations per day. CPQ Aero reduces the RFQ and RFP submission process time and eliminates manual data entry. Leveraging our patented AI algorithms that query millions of data points to extract specs, raw material codes, and final processing requirements, CPQ Aero learns from every input, helping to constantly increase the accuracy of each quote. A paradigm shift, making your team focus be more on quote validation and proposal submission, rather than laborious time-consuming number crunching and manual data extraction to generate cost estimations. CPQ Aero can also quote based on breakdown sheets that are usually provided by the customer. Simply copy and paste the part number, and the software will do the rest. CPQ Aero analyzes various fabrication types: CNC machining, CNC lathe, sheet metal fabrication, extrusion, tube bending, and a lot more. Our friendly user interface and intuitive design makes for an immersive user experience that requires almost no learning or training to effectively use. It's as simple as 1, 2, 3. 1. Enter part numbers, program, platform, and desired quantity information. 2. Load CAD native files for the details and/or assemblies. 3. Run to generate the cost estimation analysis. Let's deep dive together and take a closer look at how simple automating your RFQ response can be. As you can see, the menus are very simple. You can upload CAD parts or assemblies for quoting, manage external RFQs for final processing and hardware, and finally export your quotations and estimates. The main Quote Data tab is a summary tab that summarizes all the information related to part number that is quoted. The tab gives graphical representation of the part number that is quoted. It summarizes all of the files that were used for the quotation, the costing of raw material, manufacturing fabrication, final processing, hardware, and assembly. The final unit cost is summarized with quantity breaks, or as a long-term agreement, LTA unit price. The user can also update and modify the non-recurring engineering, NRE cost, and update the lead time associated for production, or first article inspection, FAI, and update the lead time associated for production, or first article inspection, FAI industrialization. The Raw Material tab summarizes all costing related to part item raw material information. CPQ Aero extracts automatically raw material codes, specifications, analyzes format, and uses internal costing databases for each alloy, specification, and part size to quote final billet cost. CPQ Aero also automatically performs its own bounding box analysis for optimal raw material estimates. The Raw Material tab also summarizes information related to General and Administration, G&A markups, scrap allowance, and billet adders for holding during the manufacturing process. The Manufacturing tab summarizes all operations required for the specific manufacturing process that was pre-selected by CPQ Aero to manufacture the specific detail. Costing models are used for each operation to estimate each detail driven by parametric analysis of the 3D CAD model. The user also has full control over each operation to customize the quote by updating fields as needed or by completely changing the manufacturing process. CPQ Aero gives the user the ability to validate and approve quoted operation times and make changes with instant updates. If the user feels that the software quoted too high or too little, the user can make changes to the associated costs and update the costing accordingly. CPQ Aero also offers full customization to the route that was generated for each manufacturing process and add operations as needed to complete the detail that is being quoted. The Final Processing tab summarizes all post-processing that was identified by CPQ Aero through the scanning of the 3D CAD model annotations, bill of material, or part list. CPQ Aero uses its extensive processing databases and costing models to group each process automatically into specific categories and estimates theoretical values. The user has the option to request customized costing from external process vendors, which are automatically identified by CPQ Aero based on specification, process code, and OEM requirements. User can select approved vendors and approve the specific process that was identified. User also has the ability to update costing with instant price changes. CPQ Aero extracts and summarizes all processing annotations and gives the user the ability to review all notes to validate and approve CPQ Aero data. If a process was misidentified or missed during the extraction, user can update the processing table by incorporating new processes or deleting processes which are not relevant to the quote. If the part number that is being quoted is an assembly, the hardware cost and assembly cost will be summarized in their respective hardware and assembly tabs. CPQ Aero has the ability to identify details, subassemblies, and standard hardware directly from 3D CAD engineering data and supporting bill of materials and part lists. CPQ Aero uses its hardware database to classify standard hardware items into specific category families and, in turn, apply costing models for the assembly time and cost. User has the ability to change the costing of each item and update the family category for each hardware that has been identified. CPQ Aero also gives the user the ability to issue automated hardware RFQs to confirm pricing from approved vendors and distributors. CPQ Aero is standardized software that utilizes over 1 million data points within its raw material, hardware, final processing, and manufacturing and assembly databases. Specification databases focus on raw material, hardware, and final processing codes and specifications. Costing databases focus on manufacturing and fabrication parametric costing models. Here is a sample quote overview of a small aerospace structural detail. CPQ Aero has a built-in 3D viewer that does not require a Catia license running during quote validation. However, if user has a pre-installed Catia license running on their computer, viewing will be linked directly to Catia. CPQ Aero needs Catia for the initial extraction of data for files with the extension .catpart and .catproduct files. Therefore, a license is required for these few minutes or seconds, depending on the size of the quote. However, once engineering data extraction is complete, everything else is performed on our UI and 3D viewer for verification and quote approval. Therefore, if you are using a floating license model of CPQ Aero, this allows you to free up your Catia license for use by your designers, while the RFQ team is reviewing the files on the CPQ Aero embedded 3D viewer. Once CPQ Aero completes its costing analysis, the user can quickly move between the raw material, manufacturing, and final processing tabs as needed to verify costing. If the part item is an assembly, user would also verify the hardware and assembly tabs for costing. Raw material analysis considers various OEM specifications and raw material codes and automatically quotes cut-to-size billet costs based on market pricing or OEM umbrella contracts, if available for the specific alloy, temper, thickness, or diameter. Manufacturing analysis considers various manufacturing process types from CNC machining, sheet metal fabrication, and others based on user-specific costing models related to their own company, equipment, wrap rates, overhead, G&A, and profit margins. CPQ Aero automatically selects the manufacturing process type and creates a basic manufacturing route for each item it quotes. CPQ Aero gives the user full flexibility to update costing and change complexity factors if required. Final processing analysis summarizes all post-processing that is required to complete the quoted detail. User has full visibility about the estimated costing and specification code table for a complete post-process requirement. User has full access to all the notes and annotations that were extracted from engineering. CPQ Aero automatically summarizes all approved vendors around the world for each specification and process code to simplify future sourcing during the award or to verify theoretical costs with actual process supplier costs. Hardware and assembly analysis considers various standard hardware and sub-detail costs for single or multi-level assemblies. CPQ Aero utilizes its massive standard hardware database, which classifies all hardware into individual hardware families to standardize the assembly time and cost for each part number. Once the user completed the full validation and approval of the quoted part numbers within the respected RFQ package, the user has the ability to export the quote to Excel and PDF format for quote submission into the customer desired formats. CPQ Aero also has the ability to quote legacy programs that do not have model-based definition engineering data. In these situations, CPQ Aero performs a quick parametric analysis of the 3D model and extracts what is possible. In these situations, the raw material and final processing information is unknown. Therefore, the user has to manually input this information into the raw material and final processing tabs by selecting the desired specification and codes from the drop-down menus. Once all the necessary information is entered, the software completes the costing analysis and the user can validate the quote for final approval. In summary, CPQ Aero estimation software is an easy-to-use, fully configurable, database-driven software to increase your estimation productivity. CPQ Aero is based on a parametric 3D methodology with industry-validated databases, having fully automated pricing and proposal generation system. You can import and export cost breakdown sheets with ease of mind. Increase your estimation productivity today. Contact us for more information.